Hey, this is Phil Ratcliffe with Rebel Financial, and if you joined us for our first couple, we apologize. We are having a little bit of technical difficulty, but hopefully, fingers crossed, this is going to be the magic time this time. So we're lucky enough again to have John Lubinsky here with us for a second time on this. The first time we were kind of pioneering through, and we had some goofs, and of course here we are again, experiencing the same thing. But we have a subject that almost everybody's going to go through at some point in their life, and especially if you're doing it, if you're going to be buying or selling a home anytime soon. John's one of the best realtors that I know. We're lucky to have him back. Thank you so much.
Thank you
for joining us again. And I just want to start by kind of getting into your background, because I feel like you kind of have a unique way of how you came into real estate.
Yeah, it's a little bit unique because I come from an advertising and marketing background. I was a advertising photographer for commercial business, back to the community a lot more. And I discovered, looking at things a little bit differently than probably most people do. I'm looking for details. I'm very detail oriented. So if I'm working with a buyer, I'm looking out for them by looking at what they're not seeing in the picture, in the big picture. So when we're walking through a house, I'm looking at, in photography, I had to always look at the details. We always had to make everything look perfect. And so I'm very focused on that.
Awesome. So you kind of led into it. Last week we had a stager on, and I wanted to get your perspective on staging and the benefits from kind of the opposite side of someone that is the realtor representing, the client from a transactional purposes. What are your thoughts on staging?
I highly recommend it. And that comes again from my background a little bit, but also from hearing buyers walk through houses. They make comments over and over and over that you hear, there's not enough counter space is a big one. Well, if you're not taking the time to clear the counters and show them that there's counter space, and staging does that as well, they're not going to see that. They're not going to know that there's enough room for a mixer or for bowls or whatever you want to have on there. When we took photographs, we wouldn't just take a shirt that a manufacturer gave us and throw it on a table and take a picture. We had stylists come in, and the stylists would perfectly make all those wrinkles on it, and we would light it perfectly so that it didn't look distressed, didn't look like it was cheap material, and so we're always trying to show it the best it can look, because you're going to see it in a magazine and want to order it, or you're going to see it online and want to order it. So the same goes for a house. If you're just documenting a house, all you're doing is showing what it currently looks like. And in staging, you're trying to show the buyer what it could look like, what the buyer could get out of the house.
Sometimes when you have a realtor, half the thing that you're doing as for the seller, is marketing, putting the best foot forward.
Absolutely, that is our job. I know a lot of people don't get it. They go in and document it with their iPhone or with some cheap camera or something, but we are hired by sellers to market and get the top dollar for their house.
So more people go through it, and then
the more foot traffic you get in it, the more likely you're going to get a quick sale. So having Lindsay there from C&B Staging and Redesign, if you didn't see her thing last week, you should check it out.
It's right below. If you're watching this, go right below. You can watch that.
I do use Lindsay a lot. We team up and do a lot of things together. So the first part is I go in and I have a listing appointment. In that listing appointment, I'm looking for things that, kind of assignments, if you will, things that they need to focus on to get ready for the listing. And I'm mostly looking for, cracked drywall, holes in drywall, painting, carpet, flooring. I'm looking for those bowed walls that they might have concerns with. I'm looking at hot water tanks and furnaces to make sure that they've been inspected and that they're ready to go. Eventually a buyer's going to come and look at that. Later on, when we're really ready, when they've taken care of those little projects, that's when I bring Lindsay in. And Lindsay goes through and she looks at the furniture. Is the furniture right for the space? Is it laid out appropriately for the space? Because we want people to feel that there is space for their furniture and this is what they could have.
So you started to get into it, but I think this is probably a question that a lot of people have, especially when it seems like it's easy to sell a house now, is why should people hire a realtor versus DIY or for sale by owner or what so?
Yeah. And in a market like this, it's tempting. It's because you can go out there, and then you've got Zillow and Trulia that you can market it on. But all those things that I just pointed out, they don't know.
Sure.
So all they're doing is going around taking snapshots of their home, and you can tell online that they're bad. Nobody's going to go see it. So first and foremost, your online appearance isn't going to be good.
Yeah.
Now, Zillow's a pretty popular website.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the MLS is more accurate, and serious buyers have agents, and those agents have set them up on the MLS portal. And if you're a for sale by owner, your house isn't probably showing on the MLS.
Gotcha.
So that data is not being fed to the buyers.
Yeah. So less foot traffic, like we said before, right?
Absolutely. And then navigating the contract. If you're a for sale by owner and you've never had a negotiating, I mean, other than maybe a used car or something, if you've never had to do negotiating, you don't know what you could get out of that buyer. You don't know what you can ask for. It's like going to a job interview. Yeah, you're looking at the salary, but you're also looking at the vacation and the pension and the, there's a lot more that goes into it. So there's a lot of things you can negotiate in a contract that maybe they're not aware of.
Absolutely.
So we're always looking out for those.
Absolutely. Well, now, when someone is looking to hire an agent, what are some questions that they should probably ask them to make sure that that's the right person for them?
Sure. Number one, how long have they been doing real estate? How many transactions do they do on average?
Okay.
We have over 6,500 agents in Central Ohio alone.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And considering we only do about 30,000 transactions annually.
Sure.
That doesn't sustain the 6,500 agents. So you're going to have a lot of them that either don't do anything or maybe do one for a family member once a year.
Every once in a while. They just have their license, so every once in a while they can make some extra money when it falls in their lap.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. And so you'll find a lot of people will be, oh, I've got a friend that does real estate. It's like, yeah, everybody has a friend that does real estate. What you're looking for is somebody that does it full time, that is fully devoted to it. And by asking those questions, you will find that out.
So, like, how many listings? I read something recently, and I didn't think about it, but when I read it, I was like, man, that is probably a good question. It's like, what's the list to selling price ratio? So if people are just quoting you a higher price and you think you want to hire them just because they can sell your house for more, but if their ratio's low, then they're only doing that to get people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a lot of agents that will either take whatever number the seller gives them or give them some inflated number to get that listing, and then they see it their job to beat you up on that price over the next coming weeks so that they can actually sell
or
it.
It might, well, I guess that could be another good question. Is like, how long on average do your listings sit versus how fast do they sell?
Absolutely. And you get that fear as a seller sometimes. Oh my God, it sold in one day. I should have asked more. And it's like, well, no, we priced it right so that we would get the buyers that are most anxious to get in there in the door.
And if we do a good job of getting lots of people in the door, if there's fast and it's priced right, then it will get bid up to like an appropriate market rate, and it's
sometimes
still fast,
over,
right? Yeah.
Sometimes over. We get a lot of offers that are well over list price.
That's awesome.
It's awesome, but now part of my job is also to let them know if we have multiple offers and they're significantly over list at some point, they're all going to be about the same unless you can get them to waive an appraisal, because the appraiser is going to be hired by the lender to make sure that the buyer is not underwater.
They would have to have the cash to put more down.
Or cash to bring it down.
Yeah.
So that's waiving the appraisal contingency is what it's doing.
Gotcha.
And some people will do that. In this market, we've had a lot of people just completely waive the appraisal contingency, say we'll bring whatever we have to bring to get it to close.
Yeah.
As a buyer's representative, I would never recommend that, because you are at the hands of the appraiser, and you don't know who you're going to get as an appraiser. You don't know if they know the area.
Yeah.
You don't know what number they're going to come back with. And if you just waived that appraisal contingency, you could bring tens of thousands of dollars because you didn't know what they were going to say.
Gotcha.
So
is there a way to kind of do that to where the appraiser's still there, but you're allowed to go over and just put the extra money down so the bank will be happy, but you're not stuck if something's like amiss?
You could say, hey, if it appraises for less than the purchase price, we're willing to go X dollars over,
but you're not committed
over that appraisal.
To something ridiculous if it appraised
Correct.
Too low.
Yeah, because otherwise you'd go in as a buyer, say, and just offer $20,000 over on everything so that you know you're going to get it.
Yeah.
And then just leave that appraisal contingency in there and say, well, it didn't appraise, we want to pay this. And at that point, the seller has the right to terminate. However, they're kind of stuck too, because
Because
now there's an
maybe some of the
appraisal
other
on it.
people that offered aren't there anymore.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the appraisal is the appraisal, and
Interesting.
it gets a little tricky. You got to wait 30 more days, and there's a lot of things with that.
Okay, so the markets are pretty good around here for sellers.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, it's the winter, but still, it hasn't been a cold winter, and it seems like spring already. What are your observations or suggestions for somebody that's buying or selling, like right now, kind of like some last things to leave them with that you've noticed?
Wow. Buyers, be ready to have some disappointments. You're going to be in multiple offer situations. A lot of buyers I find aren't ready to make those high offers initially because they're still thinking, hey, it's a 97% list price to sale price ratio. We can now offer 97%, and then they lose a couple, and then they go, oh, I guess you were right. We need to be making strong offers from the get-go.
Sure.
So either be ready to make strong offers from the get-go, or be ready for a little bit of disappointment in the multiple offer situation.
It might take some more time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Be patient. Don't get discouraged. The right house will come along. I'm a firm believer that, it's there.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't meant to be on that one, but we will find it, and we will make sure that you're locked in on it.
Okay.
I always say, when my buyers are in a multiple offer situation, I say, make the best offer you would make on that house.
Sure.
That way, if you don't get it, you don't feel like you lost something because you didn't want to pay that for it.
Sure.
You didn't lose a bargain.
At a certain point, it is that old thing. It's something's worth what somebody's willing to pay for it. And it's not just a game.
Correct.
To get the minimum thing or maximum ROI, because for most people that aren't investors, it's their home. It's not just an investment property.
Yep. And this isn't that used car philosophy where you threaten to leave the lot.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. Not in this market. You just have to be forthright and give your best offer at all times.
Okay.
On the seller's aspect, you want to have it absolutely the best looking online that you can. A lot of people are starting to use professional photographers, which is fantastic.
You almost bring that to the table yourself.
Yeah, I do. I am the professional photographer for my team. So, and I do get a lot of agents call me and ask me if I'll do theirs. And, I'm not in that business anymore. I'm in the business of marketing my clients' homes. But for sellers, man, be ready to be out of your house for a couple of days. Right when it hits the market,
so you can stage it,
it,
show it.
You do your staging and then you do your photos. But literally, the day it hits the MLS, you will probably be out of your house all day anyhow. We'll see. I just put one up and it had 15 showings the first day.
That's awesome.
I've had them as high as I think I had 42 in one day.
Man, is there time to get that many people through, or is
They're
some of them there at the
stacked.
same time?
They said they were literally waiting in line at the door, and then. A lot of times what they'll do is one will be in the basement, one will be on the first floor, and one will be on the second floor. It's absolutely insane, and I feel bad for buyers only because they have to deal with that. They have to walk in and they see all these other people, and
it's kind of more the starter homes that are the busiest, though, right?
Yeah. Really, if you were 250,000 or less, that's where your market is the hottest.
So somebody that had a house that's like 100 to 250,000, and they're moving up. This is a great time for them, right?
Absolutely.
Because it's hot to sell, not as quite as hot for the house that they're upgrading to.
Absolutely, yeah. If you get into the $500,000 houses, you tend to have not nearly as much competition. So yeah, if you're moving from a 250 to a 500, do it now.
That's awesome.
Interest rates are still awesome, and you will get top dollar on that house you're selling.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for being here, John. Kind of tell people how they can reach you if they want to get a hold of you.
You can reach me on my cell phone, 614-746-4884, or you can go to our website, lubinskyteam.com. It's LUBINSKYTEAM.com, and I'm sure it's going to be
awesome.
down
We'll
below.
Link it below to the Facebook, to the website, everything, so that you guys can find John if you want to talk to him. Again, thanks so much for watching us. As we mentioned in the past, watch our past ones. You comment on here and then enter, which we'll put a link to it on our website. You do those two things, you're in our contest for a free Echo Dot. We had 2 entries this past week, and actually our winner is Jordan Roth. So thanks so much, Jordan. Yeah, you know Jordan. Thanks so much for watching, entering. We'll get a picture of him accepting that too, so that you guys can check it out on the web. Make sure you comment below John and I's video today. Tell us what you liked about it, something else that you might want or to learn. Put information out there so we can start the discussion. That's really what we're trying to emphasize, not just giving stuff away, even though that's what we're doing. But again, thanks for joining us. Hope you guys are having a great finish to the week in this warmer, almost spring weather. And we look forward to seeing you next week. And next week we are going to have actually an administrator of a long-term care facility. So we're going to actually talk about the nuts and bolts of if you're considering that or thinking about it for a parent or another loved one. It's going to be a really interesting episode. So thanks so much and have a great weekend.